a dark pair for him, as well as a wide array of counter magic and removal.
Is that a counter squall? No, counter spell. Counter spell. I was like, ooh, counter squall. That's exciting.
Wow. His opponent is Samuel Todd, who is playing a sneak attack show and tell deck. So this is a pretty classic matchup of a control deck. As you see on the screen, a blue-black Wizards deck. Nick Spagnolo's deck makes very good use of Riptide Lab. All of his creatures are wizards. Snapcaster Mage, in particular, is very powerful when combined with the tribal land.
It's interesting. I see that he has Mishra's Factory, and he's not running the Mutavault to go with the Blinky Spirit Riptide Laboratory Mutavault.
That is interesting. The ability for Mishra's Factory to pump itself or to be pumped by another's Mishra Factory can come up very often, so I imagine that Nick did consider Mutavault and potentially considered that interaction to be more important. A single Mishra's Factory can hold off an opposing Snapcaster Mage or Dark Confidant by its ability to turn itself into a 3/3, which a Mutavault cannot.
Absolutely. It is a more powerful defender.
So we start the game off here. Nick Spagnolo opens with an Inquisition of Kozilek, and I can't quite see the card he took. It's a blue card.
Intuition, maybe?
It could be. It's got to cost 3 or less. So Samuel Todd ponders, and that I believe is the promo ponder. Very fancy. Both players having led with just basic land. Samuel Todd fetched for his, Nick Spagnolo had his naturally. So Samuel Todd ponders, keeps them on top, which is never a good sign when you sit across from a ponder keep. And
second turn Dark Confidant.
Robert Maher Jr. gets dazed.
Take that.
So Nick Spagnolo draws. He has a Jace. I see a Spell Snare.
A Force of Will.
I didn't get a chance to see what he saw in Samuel Todd's hand. I don't know if he knew that Daze was there.
He says go. Samuel Todd lays a Scalding Tarn. Nick
Spagnolo holding on to his Brainstorm.
Spell Snare. Says go. Turn 3 Volcanic. Samuel Todd says go. Draw.
And draws another Dark Confidant. So this is interesting. Nick is sitting here at 7 cards, I believe. He has yet to draw a land, but he is sitting on his Brainstorm.
I like a main phase Brainstorm here.
I mean, I don't know what he saw in Samuel's hand. That's what's really
true.
Making it difficult for me to judge what I would do here.
That's absolutely the case. Right.
If Samuel did not have a particularly threatening hand, he could realistically either main phase his Brainstorm or play that Dark Confidant. But if Samuel has a hand that may have, Spell Pierce, Daze, anything of that sort, he may need to hold up his mana to protect his Force of Will on whatever it is Samuel may cast. We're seeing an Intuition out of Samuel Todd. Oh, and Samuel picks up his deck, and Nick says, hold on, I'm not sure that's going to resolve.
Now, one of the things about Intuition...
And Force of Will on the Intuition.
If you're not sure if your opponent might be playing a Hive Mind show and tell combo deck, countering the Intuition is actually incredibly important, because on their turn they could go for the Hive Mind style combo and then have Pact of Negation back and not have to worry about it. But if you counter the counter card on their turn, a Pact of Negation would kill them.
Yeah, that's definitely something to keep in mind.
He might not know enough of his opponent's deck to have figured out that Hive Mind is not what Samuel Todd is playing.
Yeah, I have to imagine that he has a reasonable amount of information from his initial Inquisition of Kozilek. We unfortunately
we don't know
really
what
see.
Now he has more of a sense of what his opponent.
And that's
he must not have seen that before.
Yeah, he goes to pick it up and read it.
Brainstorm in response.
Brainstorms in response. That's
a bad
does
sign.
not bode well.
For those of you who aren't aware, 1 red mana from the sneak attack, you can put a creature card of yours into play with haste. And then at the end of the turn, it is sacrificed.
So that means with Emrakul the Eon's Torn, which Samuel is playing in the full 4, he can absolutely devastate his opponent's board position as well as dealing 15 damage. He also has 3 copies of Progenitus.
Force of Will stop sneak attack from Samuel Todd. Untap for Nick Spagnola. I think we're going to see a Dark Confidant here.
See, I think I may have actually just cast that Dark Confidant a couple turns ago. Maybe, I mean, I guess if Nick had cast it last turn...
Untap,
then, a
pact.
Slaughter Pact. Interesting.
I have died to Slaughter Pact.
I have never died to my own pact.
I was very tired. So...
It's definitely something that can come up. And
Thoughtseize.
And there's an Emrakul, a Lotus Petal,
Petal,
and I can't tell what that last card is. It looks kind of shiny. Is that a Progenitus? Is that a Commander Progenitus or something?
I think that's a Progenitus.
So if he takes either one of the fatties, it gets shuffled in.
Goodbye, Emrakul.
All right.
I think I would actually prefer to have taken the Progenitus.
Really?
Because the Progenitus, I don't believe, does the Gaia's Blessing style effect. And there are, I believe...
It just shovels itself in?
Yeah, there's a threat card in there, and several search cards.
Well, Nick can beat a sneak attack that only hits him with Progenitus. He cannot beat sneak attack into Emrakul.
That's fair. That's fair.
That said,
and the sneak attack density is only negligibly helped.
I believe Samuel Todd just drew Show and Tell, however.
Here it comes. What you got? Does that resolve? Nick Spagnolo has no sorceries or instants to deal with it, but he does have Liliana in his deck. So if he can get a Liliana into play, he could get rid of that.
Samuel Todd, it looks like I guess he's just shortcutting that this is what he's going to put into play because Nick knows it's in his hand. But that is not yet in play. Nick Spagnolo is responding to the Show and Tell with Brainstorm.
I don't see a Liliana, do you?
No, I do not.
Okay, Bob says, here's a land. Bob says, hey.
But Nick, there is Liliana.
Liliana,
wow.
Boom.
All right, so Liliana takes out that Progenitus. That's a big deal. Liliana is a very powerful card against Samuel Todd's deck. It manages to make his Show and Tells not particularly impressive. He really needs to go on his sneak attack plan in order to compete here. I'm actually having someone letting me know via messenger service that Samuel Todd actually Force of Willed Inquisition, so Nick Spagnolo did not have any information.
Okay. Dark Confidence says Riptide Laboratory. And Nick draws after that. And that's another fetch land.
So now Nick is in very solid shape. He has Liliana. He has Bob going. So he is able to rip his opponent's hand apart while continuing to threaten future edict effects from Liliana and continue fueling himself with that Bob. I really like Nick's deck seems pretty sweet.
Nick's deck is awesome. I mean, I really love Bob just period, but I have been unimpressed by Liliana overall, but a Bob Liliana deck sounds awesome.
Yeah, that's something I can get behind.
Wasteland to just tear Samuel Todd, not Todd, a little bit down. Being at 4 mana means that Samuel Todd cannot cast Sneak Attack and activate
another
it.
Wasteland is going to take out another land. Factory and Bob get in there, and now we're off of mana to do just about anything. He has a Show and Tell in his hand.
He's got a 1-turn window to use it.
Yeah, and Samuel Todd just packs his cards in. So Nick Spagnolo takes the first game.
I think he had 1 draw phase left.
Well, he was facing down Liliana on 3 counters. So Liliana is going to edict whatever he does put into play. There is no out.
You're right.
He's really not able to get out of that position.
Yeah, you're right.
So sideboarding, let's take a look at what these decks look like. So Nick Spagnolo has Surgical Extraction. Don't think I'm going to bring that in.
Innocent Blood is not unreasonable against these crazy
Innocent Blood
creatures.
is definitely interesting.
Thoughtseize seems great.
Thoughtseize 1 Hymn to Torak in his sideboard. He has no hymns in his main deck, but he has 1 in his sideboard.
I don't mind Vendilion Click.
Damnation, Perish Edict, Spellstutter Sprite, and Vendilion Click. Interesting. Yes.
He has a lot of answers.
He has a very bizarre array of sideboard cards.
So what I think he's going to do here is I think he's going to sideboard out cards like Dark Blast, Ghastly Demise, Slaughter Pact, Repeal.
Yep.
And what he's going to do is he's going to bring in cards like Diabolic Edict, Innocent Blood, and Thoughtseize.
Yep.
And then he's going to also bring in his
Vendilion Click. Probably Hymn to Torak.
I'm not sure if you bring in Hinmatorok here as much.
I think I'd bring in him. He's playing against a deck that is looking to back up a combo with counter magic.
Right.
And Hinmatorok is a great card at reducing your opponent's ability to both deploy a combo and back it up.
I can accept that. I mean, Vendilion Click is a card I would like to see.
Yeah, Crucible of Worlds is a card that I would certainly take out. Liliana certainly was fantastic.
Liliana seemed great.
I definitely like what Nick has going on here.
Nick has been one of those players that I've always really enjoyed watching the decks he selects for events.
Yeah, he has a propensity to brew up some sweet ones and some decks that don't necessarily always get there. But
well, I mean, when you're willing to take some risks, they're not always going to get there. But the thing is that sometimes you break new ground and something really exciting comes out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Nick Spagnolo first broke onto the real competitive scene earlier this year, I think. Maybe late last year when he won the New Jersey State Championships, and then went on a tear, winning a number of
New
large
York
events.
State Champions.
New York, sorry.
Yeah.
And then he started posting some excellent finishes in the Star City Games Open Series, including a win, I believe it was in Seattle.
He won in Seattle. He won in Charlotte.
Yeah, so he's had quite a few great finishes at the Star City Games Open Series. He made level 8 in the Players Club back in Atlanta, I believe. So those Lilianas were free.
I see here that he got second place in a New Jersey qualifier playing Super Friends. A friend of mine told me that Super Friends deck was hastily named and it should have been called the Fantastic Four.
Sure. So, as for Samuel Todd, how do you think he is sideboarding here? He has Pyroblast, Red Blast, those are certainly coming in, and Vendilion Clicks of his own. Blood Moon. Blood Moon's interesting. He has seen quite a few basic lands from Nick Spagnolo, so Blood Moon isn't as crippling as it could be against quite a few decks.
He saw one basic land from Nick Spagnolo.
If he sees basic Swamp, he has to imagine that basic islands are in there.
I agree that he's going to imagine that there's a basic land in there, but the thing about Legacy is that players often get away with running 2 basic lands if there are 2 color decks,
true.
Just to be fetched out, and then the rest of it is like, if a Blood Moon is out, a fetch land will not save you.
2 color decks, though, can generally afford to run quite a few basic lands, and generally do, simply for the reason that it makes them resilient to cards like Wasteland and Blood Moon.
Well, I mean, part of it, I wouldn't go straight to Blood Moon. I mean, I definitely would go into 2-click and the 4 blasts.
Yeah, those I think come in for sure.
And
what do you think he
after
takes out?
I would see if there was any room for Blood Moon after I did that.
Right.
I'm not sure. I mean, I saw Days effective there, but I'm less confident on it overall. I think Lotus Petal, perhaps there's room to try to slow down just a smidge.
Yeah, I think Lotus Petal is the sort of card that you want when you're trying to race other combo decks or playing against decks that aren't fighting you with counter magic. It's a card that you really can't necessarily afford to play in a match where you're going to have to be fighting over card economy.
Right. That will give you 5 cards by cutting those 2 cards. And then you need one more.
For one more, maybe you can shave...
A Ponder? I don't know. I mean, if you're slowing down, I think that's okay.
Maybe. I could also see shaving a copy of one of your combo cards like Sneak Attack or Emrakul.
Some kind of shaving would go on here.
Yeah.
Samuel Todd does not look like a man who shaves, but we will see.
So Samuel Todd will be on the play for Game 2. If you are just joining us, I'm Brian Kibler here with Adrian Sullivan.
Hello.
At the Star City Games Legacy Open Series in St. Louis. We are here in round 6 of 9. We have quite a bit of Magic in the books and quite a bit of Magic left to play. You have Nick Spagnolo on the left of your screen playing Blue-Black Wizards, which is a deck that I'm pretty excited about. There's a lot of cool stuff going on here. The synergy between Dark Confidant and Liliana the Veil, the power of Liliana the Veil in a format where people are doing stuff like putting individual gigantic creatures into play, whether they're reanimating them or telling them. I definitely like that. And it's also a card that's very, very potent at disrupting combo decks when you're able to continue to fuel your own hand with Dark Confidant.
Samuel Todd opens up with a Scalding Tarn. We see an island from Nick Spagnolo. Samuel Todd sacks this at the... I didn't catch if this was during his turn or at the end of Nick's turn. One of my favorite things to do when I look at deck lists is see where the scritchy scratches are. What changed? What were the last-minute shifts? Scritchy scratch number 1 from Nick Spagnolo. He took out his 4th Force of Will to go to 3, and he took away the ponder that he added in at the very end to change it to 1 repeal.
Interesting.
We see an Ancient Tomb, 2 damage. Samuel Todd lays a Show and Tell. Force of Will from Nick, tossing a Jace the Mind Sculptor. Does Sam fight back?
Todd has
Force
his
of
own
Will,
Force
bite
of Will.
back.
Well, this could be a quick one.
I don't see what he tossed. I think it was another Force of Will, though.
Oh, and
Let's see what we got. There we go. Oh,
Show and Tell is you cannot put a Planeswalker in play. It is
Planeswalkers do not count.
so even if you had Liliana or Jace here, he would not be able to put them into play. So I believe Nick Spagnolo is in a situation where he needs to have.
Oh, look at that.
He
Bob
needs to have
Genitus.
Oh,
Spellstutter Sprite comes in.
2 damage. Nick Spagnolo really needs to find a Diabolic Edict or Liliana here.
Innocent
it
Blood
looks like
as
Liliana
well.
maybe in his hand, or is that Jace all the way to the end?
Now, he does have 2 turns to do it.
It's true.
This turn and next turn.
Right. That though he is going to take 10 damage from Progenitus, and he is sitting there with a Bob in play that he doesn't have any way to control. All right, so Inquisition of Kozilek. And there's a Daze and a Pyroblast in his hand. Huh. I think he's committed to take Daze here so he can draw Liliana.
I agree with that.
And which he
does.
does.
He does.
And Sam Todd passes back, so Bob reveals Brainstorm, which he knows cannot get him what he needs because of that Pyroblast.
Does it work?
And Sam
Stop
Todd
it, Sam. Stop it,
absolutely
Sam.
should Pyroblast this.
That's an Ancestral Recall right there.
And he's debating it. Yeah,
There you go.
He Red Blasts, and that's game.
Yep.
So Nick Spagnolo, a turn 2 Show and Tell, a little bit too much for him.
Oh, Nick Spagnolo looking up to the sky for answers. Is there anything written on the ceiling of the tent? Off to the side. He's in deep thought.
Yeah, I mean, the ways that his deck has to interact with Sam Todd's deck are in fact more than most. He has quite a few discard cards. He has quite a few actual answers to Show and Tell resolving, which is more than can be said of most control decks. Oh, he's taking off his jacket. Things are
and the
getting
hat.
serious.
This is serious.
Things are getting serious.
It's getting real.
The temperature in the room has gone up.
Oh.
Nick Spagnolo
Wow.
he shuffles around in his seat, sits up straight. It's like, all right.
It's getting
Time
real.
to get real.
In the Star City Games open tent. You know the deal. Okay. Wow. Samuel Todd, I'm not sure how he was reacting to that. I was just so taken by Nicholas Spagnolo's dramatic shift of demeanor.
Actually had a post on Twitter from Ben Schwartz saying that he remembers Sam Todd's name from the top 8 of JSS Champs 2006. So if you can imagine that bearded man as a younger man.
Nice.
He apparently was a top 8 competitor in the Junior Super Series some years ago.
You know, I wish I had been young enough to play in the Junior Super Series. That seems like it would have been a really, really cool thing to do.
I had a chance to play on the Junior Pro Tour, which was very different from the Junior Super Series, because back when the Junior Pro Tour existed, it was actually, there was a point when they did not allow players who were younger than a certain age to play in the older divisions. I imagine because they just wanted to separate the adults from kids, basically. But there was a point when many of the players in the junior division were actually the strongest players around.
Absolutely.
John Finkel was one of the players in the junior division, as well as Steve Mahoney Schwartz, recently minted Hall of Famer. And,
well deserved.
Absolutely. And you looked at the years that the junior division of the Pro Tour went on, and many of the game's stars in the next few years came out of that time.
And I would say that many of the better decks
Oh yeah,
came out of the junior division.
At Pro Tour 1, the best deck in the tournament, in either tournament, was the winning deck in the junior division from Graham Tatimer, the Necro deck.
Was that Patrick Chapin in that top 8 in the junior side?
Patrick Chapin was in the top 8 of Dallas. He
Right.
was playing Sly in the top 8 of Pro Tour Dallas, which was won by Justin Schneider.
Right.
The junior division. The
And
Masters division, I believe, was won by Paul McCabe.
And I believe Adam Jansen was in that top 8 as well, who was a Chicago player who was part of the Crew, which was the actually first mega team in Magic. A team of about 25, 30 players who invented Magic lingo. They were the people that came to the, I believe, Pro Tour 2 and were like, beatings! Ah! They had all kinds of lingo that never
I believe
stuck
Jank
around.
came out of there.
They never ended up sticking around. But later on, when we started hearing the lingo from Team Sped and other East Coast teams, then that was kind of a descendant of that.
Yeah. So the players are chatting away here. Not really sure what they're saying. I'm not a very good lip reader.
That'd be a cool skill to have.
Yeah.
It could be sitting here and be like, Nicholas is just telling his opponent that Thoughtseize was really critical there. I mean, I do like Nicholas in this matchup, but Samuel Todd shows the power of a incredibly cheap, powerful combo backed up with a little bit of disruption.
Yep.
Keep, he says. I read that one.
Mm-hmm. There's a few other context clues for that one. Sam Todd looks to be tanking on his hand, not quite as sure.
I think I can see the fledgling Junior Super Series player behind that beard.
I don't know that I could ever grow a beard like that.
You know, in the post-apocalypse, when zombies rule the earth, I can see you during the wintertime having a beard like that.
Maybe. But I would hope to be sort of the fearless leader who rises up and drives back the zombies. But that guy, he has to be clean shaven. He's got to look good on camera.
Clean shaven with a cowboy hat. Or at least a sheriff's hat, regardless.
You know, when you're standing on the mound of zombie corpses, you gotta be a striking figure.
We
All
see
right,
our
we're
fetch.
off. So
it's
Nick
going to be a turn
Spagnolo,
1 disruption spell from Nick, I believe.
He is opening with Underground Sea into
Thoughtseize.
So,
what do we see there?
Sam Todd, he has...
Spell Pierce, Daze.
one card is off camera, but he has a pair of Spell Pierces, a Daze, an Emrakul, a Volcanic Island, a Scalding Tarn, and
something we
a
can't
mystery
see.
card.
A mystery. What is the mystery?
It could be a boat.
It is a Red Elemental Blast.
Not a boat.
So he's got 4 disruption spells or reaction spells and 1 Emrakul. Do you just hit the Emrakul here to get it out of there?
Looks like
He goes with
Nick
Daze.
wants to take Daze. I think that's perfectly reasonable if Nick has something like a Dark Confidant on his hand that he wants to resolve.
That's fair. Dark Confidant dodges all the rest of that.
And
there's the Dark Confidant. There
Dark
it is.
Confidant,
Boom.
precisely. So Nick has put himself in a position where he is able to
Todd.
Start digging for more disruption of his own.
There's a Liliana of the Veil in his hand. He just reveals a Brainstorm and then draws another land. I can't quite see what it is. An island.
An island. So Sam Todd, he knows, has 2 copies of Spell Pierce in his hand, so he's not going to attempt any non-creature spells for the time being.
Well, he might just bleed it out. I mean,
yeah. I mean, he's
got a Bob
but he can just sit back. He can just sit back and ride Bob at the moment.
Brainstorm resolves. There's an Innocent Blood in his hand as well.
So he does have protection, even if a Show and Tell resolves.
Now, this would be a Brainstorm that, in many contexts, I think AJ would say is the wrong kind of Brainstorm. It's an end-of-turn Brainstorm with no shuffling abilities. However, because the Bob is there, he can protect his life a little bit. And being at 10 life or even 15 life can be very dangerous in this matchup. Innocent Blood drops him down to 15.
He doesn't have any land to that he gets to find with Bob, so he's actually going to have to discard.
Now he's down to a life total that gives a 1-hit kill should Emrakul manage to get out.
Oh, he did not have to discard.
Okay, he's at
exactly
7 cards. Samuel Todd draws. I think he's going to say, look like a say go there. And I think our life totals are 15, 18, but it could be 16 there. End of the turn, Snappy Brainstorm.
Okay, I like this. Continuing to increase his clock and apply more pressure. He gets to recast that Brainstorm unless...
Reb
draws out that Red Blast.
Reb is a fine thing to get rid of.
So right now, Nick Spagnolo, knowing that there's a pair of Spell Piercers in his opponent's hand, really needs to continue to use his mana as well as he can. He
Brainstorm and land. He's got the land Brainstorm.
Okay,
it's a polluted Delta as well.
Yep, so Polluted Delta makes that Brainstorm a lot better.
Absolutely.
Though Nick Spagnolo has very close to a perfect hand already.
Double Force of Will, Innocent Blood, Liliana of the Veil, Edict as well. Oh my god.
Yeah, his hand is really good.
I mean, his hand was so good that we had Michael Jacob and Jerry Thompson watching the match over our shoulders, and they walked away.
So Sam Todd, one of the drawbacks of the Show and Tell deck here is that its combos, while they are cheap if you have a 2-mana land, in order to actually play them and protect them with these counter spells that cost mana that aren't Force of Will, he needs to have a lot of land in play. So if he draws a 2-mana land, he can play, say, Show and Tell or Sneak Attack with double Spell Pierce backup, but he's still in a rough spot there because Nick has so many cards that he's able to fight him with as well.
Nick just played a really nice little play there. He did an end-of-the-turn Brainstorm. During his upkeep, he reveals the Wasteland, shuffles afterwards because he knew he wanted the land, and then, wow, like draws a card that's not the other card that he put back.
So I think Nick here really he should just discard, is my thought, at least initially.
Yeah.
I can't see the entire contents of his hand, but he has so many things that will allow him to fight Sam that he's firmly in the driver's seat. All he needs to do is keep making his land drops, and nope, he's going to cast Liliana.
I don't know if I like that.
I'm a little skeptical of that.
I mean, once again, we go back to that question: is it really worth keeping your card advantage to tap down your mana?
Mm-hmm. I mean, the only way he's going to lose here is
if something happens.
If something big happens on Sam's turn.
Wasteland.
Okay.
That helps.
I like that Wasteland at least.
And Nicholas untaps, reveals an island, draws him to Turok.
Yeah, it looks like some wolves.
I prefer the circled hand-holding, clerics.
You are entitled to your own opinion, even if it may be wrong.
Are you a 3-wolf?
It's got to be the wolves.
Oh,
Ow!
Nice scarf, Brian Kibley.
Ow! That really was a pretty lame howl on my part.
It's okay. It's okay. It's hard to howl well.
It is. I really don't want to try with a microphone right in my face either.
Microphone check. V click. Click from Sam Todd trying to clear the way a little bit. I think we're going to see a Force of Will here. Force of Will tosses a Jace.
Okay.
That's a reasonable toss given that he already has a Dark Confidant rocking the world. End of the turn we see, or not end of the turn, that was upkeep that he did that Vendilion click, and now we see a Hymn to Turok from Nicholas Spagnola.
So, it is not the wolves. I don't like Nick's deck anymore.
Okay, it's the weird Veiley thing with the beard.
It's like, I think it's Uncle Istvan.
Is that Uncle Istvan?
Oh, it wasn't even in the same set, but kind of looks like Uncle Istvan.
I think that was in the same universe, though.
Guy. It might have been.
Because I don't think that we had switched. I think we're still in Dominaria there.
It's the universe of like miserable cards that barely anyone wants to play with except for him to Torak. Because that's the Fallen Empire's Homelands universe. I guess Uncle Istvan was the dark.
But I think that's still in Dominaria.
It might be.
And look, here he comes. It's the Dark Confidant.
Bobby, and now I think it's reasonable to play Liliana. I think it's gotten safer.
Completely agree.
So let's discard.
Got my choice. Emrakul versus an island.
But Nick is down to 9 life. That is a danger spot, both in that he could theoretically just die to Bob flips.
I mean, it's possible. A Force of Will could flip up,
a Force of Will and a Jace, a Force of Will, a Force of Will. He's also in 1-hit range from Sneak Attack. Leyline of Sanctity, not going to do it. Sam Todd extends the hand, and Nick Spagnola wins the match 2-1.
I suppose that Leyline of Sanctity does prevent the Edict effects from being able to affect Sam, so that's interesting.
It stops the Edict effect. It also stops Thoughtseize, Hymn to Torak, Inquisition.